Joining me to talk about OU and their class is Brooke Pryor, OU beat writer. And Brooke, you had to get up early this morning to know who OU was signing. This was an early rising, early signing class. They started out ahead with a bunch of early enrollees, but who are they waiting on at this point?
At this point, we're not really waiting on anybody as far as guys that were previously announced. All those guys, I believe, K. Daly had tweeted at 6:40 that he was signing his letter of intent. Couldn't be faxed in until 7 a.m. here, but he was ready to go. So right now, the biggest guy that we're waiting on to hear is Marvin Wilson, five-star defensive tackle, picking between OU, LSU, Ohio State, Florida State, and USF this afternoon at about 3:30 local time.
All right, we'll
3:30 here.
And we'll talk about him in just a minute. But, by my count, it looked like with those 11 early signees, a dozen guys in this class were signed before 8 a.m. And then the rest of the class, or at least the rest of the expected class, had signed by 8:30. So, as you said, no surprises, everybody in on time. And, Brooke, maybe that kind of speaks to this class a little bit. This has been a long ballyhooed class that is expected to do great things. What can you sort of say about the overall makeup of this group of signees?
So they're ranked number 6 in Rivals team recruiting rankings. Obviously, that'll probably fluctuate back and forth throughout the day, but it's going to finish as a top 5 class, has a chance to sneak into going to finish as a top 10 class, has a chance to sneak into a top 5 class. It's really well-rounded, and I think the biggest thing from this, it's not just about these individual guys that have made these commitments, but it's really about this Sooner Squad 17 hashtag that has kind of been going around for a long time on Twitter. These guys have really been all in on the brotherhood aspect of it. I think more so than in other years, they're bonded. They really held each other accountable. If somebody was going on visits, they were still tweeting, hey, we still want all our members here. We still, we love each other. We're brothers, all of that. And so I think because of this bond that they had, A, you got those 11 early enrollees, and B, then you got all these other guys that came in later that were still committed despite other teams making late runs at them.
Yeah, and right now, again, depending on what happens the rest of the day, 18 by our count, 4-star guys, according to the recruiting rankings that are out there, which, Brooke, you speak about the sort of overarching theme of this class, that togetherness, but I think a lot of people are curious on an individual level, who could maybe come in and compete right away and possibly play as a true freshman. I mean, we saw just this last year, Caleb Kelly maybe got off to a little bit of a slow start, didn't play much early, but by the end of the year, a huge contributor at linebacker. Are there a couple names within this class that you feel like have a chance to be guys that will not only get on the field, but also provide some playing time and some important stats for the Sooners as this season in the fall comes up?
Well, I think the first name that jumps to mind is CeeDee Lamb. He's a wide receiver out of Texas. He had 33 touchdown receptions in his senior season, finished with over 2,000 yards. I want to say it was 2,032 yards, which was the 4th most in Texas history, Texas State high school football history. So he can just put up monster numbers. And there's an obvious void there with the departure of D.D. Westbrook. So I think look for him. I think we could see Robert Barnes as a guy, really highly rated safety. He's also the son of another former OU player, Reggie Barnes. So he's got, the will and the desire to kind of make his own name for himself here. So I would look for those guys. I think you could see one of the running backs, possibly Trey Sermon, running back out of Georgia, have a really big impact in his freshman year. Again, it's just those are the areas where there's been a departure. Running back, you're missing Samaje Perine, you're missing Joe Mixon. So there's a need there. They have some guys already on the team that have kind of proven in the past that they could be good. But I think that there's definitely going to be open competition there to see if one of those freshman running backs could come in and start as a freshman.
Yeah, and you mentioned that wide receiver position, looking for playmakers. Probably the best name in the class, Charleston Rambo, one of the wide receivers, which I found out earlier this morning, though, may not be the best name in the Big 12 among signing classes. I found a Maverick Wolfley West Virginia's new fullback commitment. So, but that wide receiver position does look like a spot, Brooke, considering the pedigree of some of these receivers coming in, that those guys could potentially make a huge impact at that position.
Yeah, and there's also Marquise Brown. He's a junior college guy, so he's already been on campus, but he's from College of the Canyons. I think that he could have another opportunity in that D.D. Westbrook kind of makeup of a junior college guy who comes in a little bit more well-rounded, not as rough around the edges as some of the freshmen, who could end up having a big impact. But OU has a lot of really good wide receivers in this class, which they really needed. I mean, there are some playmakers still on the team. We have Jeff Mead and Mark Andrews, but they need one of those speedy guys, and I think any three of those wide receiver commits that we've been talking about could fill that void for them.
All right, we'll see how that shakes out in the fall. A couple guys that I want to talk about that were potential Sooners, but one already we know is not going to be a Sooner. That's Tyler Taylor. He's a linebacker from down in Georgia, and Oklahoma really pushed hard for him late, Brooke, but he announced earlier today that he was going to LSU. Did the Sooners have really much of a chance to get him, or how do you think this all shook out in the end?
So it seemed like there was an opportunity for the Sooners to get him. He put OU in his top three. So that seemed to be a positive sign. And then a couple days ago, he announced that Auburn and LSU were the two that he was choosing between. But I still don't think that necessarily disqualified OU. It's one of those things where, a kid says, well, I'm only going to choose between these two schools. But maybe, OU, from what we understand, still tried to keep in contact with him, was present. So in case he had a change of heart or anything else, could have potentially been a dark horse. Turned out they were not. Ed Orgeron at LSU scooped another linebacker away from OU after getting Jacob Phillips earlier this week and flipping him late in the process.
Yeah, definitely some big gets there for the Tigers and their new recently minted head coach. I guess he served that interim tag, did Ed Orgeron this last year. But Brooke, the last guy, you mentioned him a little bit ago, but let's dive into to him a little bit more, that being Marvin Wilson, a defensive tackle. And he's big and big time, a guy from the Houston area. What's the situation with him, and where did the Sooners stand on his list?
Well, the Sooners would love to have Big Marv on their team. He's a five-star guy. He would be the only Rivals five-star commit in this class should he choose OU. But it kind of seems like he's down between LSU and Florida State, although there's also the possibility Ohio State could come in there and Oklahoma could come in there late. He tweeted last night, as, to add some signing day drama to all of this, tweeted about 11 o'clock that he was having second thoughts. We don't know if that's about, girl troubles, high school homework, whatever. Maybe it's about recruiting. There's really no way to tell. But tweeted that he was having some second thoughts. So that will be something to watch. He's announcing this afternoon, 3:30 Central Time on ESPN2. Who knows if he will do anything crazy. I saw a kid a couple minutes ago on ESPN do the old shirt trick. Looked like he was committing to Florida, and then 3 shirts under that turned out he was really committing to USC. So who knows what Big Marv will do, Hollywood Marv. I'm excited to see what kind of thing he has cooked up. Yeah,
he's, according to what we've heard, he's one of the last really top-level recruits, top 10 national-type recruits out there yet to decide. So we'll see again this afternoon on ESPN2. He'll announce. The Sooners will have their press conference about signing day. Bob Stoops addressing the media and questions about this signing class at 2 p.m. Be sure to join us on News OK for that coverage. And stay with us throughout the day. We'll have Oklahoma State's press conference here in a little bit at 9 o'clock with Mike Gundy. Then we'll be back in studio at 10 o'clock to talk about Oklahoma State's signing class with OSU beat writer Kyle Fredrickson. And be sure to stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoman.